Today we're going to be looking at an Enzo build that is actually not a support build. Well, it is still going to be supporting, but it's also focused around dealing a ton of damage, because with this build and just one mod for it, you're going to be able to give you and your team almost near guaranteed crit. So you're going to be in around like the 90 to 95% range, and this is the budget build. This is the very early on. I have no activator on my Enzo. On my weapon that you're going to be using with this build, I do have an activator, but I still only have 2 catalysts on it. Same thing with my Enzo, I just have 2 catalysts. So this is very cheap to make, and it's going to get much stronger as we get more mods and catalysts on our gear. I feel like I've been just seeing a lot of people say Enzo is a really good support character and you use him to open vaults, and that's about it. But he actually is able to do a ton of extra damage with this setup. Yeah, let's go ahead and see exactly what makes this build work so well. So the mod with this build that makes it all possible is Enzo's Descendant mod, Supply Firearm Enhancer. What this actually does is replace his first ability. So instead of dropping down a little pod that gives ammo, this is now going to give anybody who picks it up weak point damage and critical hit rate increase. And this critical hit rate increase is about 29% right now on a max level Enzo. And this ends up being way more in practice. So the weapons that I'm using this with are sitting around at about a 30% critical hit rate, maybe closer to 36% when I show you the example that I'm going to show, with like 90-95% critical hit rate once this is active. But essentially how this works is really quick. If you press your one ability, you're just going to put a little pod on the ground. It deploys pretty quick. And then when you pick it up, you're going to see the enhance rounds buff there on the left. And this is going to be active until you reload or change weapons. So if you pick a weapon with a really large magazine, like an LMG, so if you guys have a tamer, you guys are going to be really well off. Also, there's another option, which we're going to get to, so when I'm holding in my hands, but it's going to stay there until I reload or change weapons, like I said. So this is going to give us a ton of extra damage. Now I am going to change weapons just so I can show you. With this weapon right now, I'm sitting at about a 36% critical hit rate. Ignore everything up here. This is not the actual build for it. That's in setting 1. This is just to show with the maxed out critical hit rate what we can actually achieve. So if we go ahead and shoot this guy in the leg, we can see how many times we're critting, not critting roughly just by like laying into him. We get some streaks in there of like some decent crits, some without. It's pretty decent. But now, if we go ahead, put this down and pick it up, mind you, I have 171 rounds in this mag. We start shooting. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 shots roughly. Maybe I missed like 1 or 2 in there, but 14 that I counted were not crits out of the 171 shots in here, which is just insane. Now, if we take a look at the actual setup where we have all of our crit damage, I'm at a 5.1 right now, and I do not have critical hit damage as one of my passives, which could be like another 40% or so. So we can get this up to like 5.5, 5.6x multiplier on essentially every single shot, which is unreal, just absolutely unreal. And this build just ends up doing so much damage. And once again, this is for your teammates as well. There's gonna be 4 available slots if you're playing with 4 total players, so it'll remain there for like 20-30 seconds or until everybody picks it up. So since I'm solo, since I pick it up, it's gonna go away. But that's currently how that mod is working and why it is so powerful, especially when you use with a really high mag weapon like this LMG. I did want to show you in game that the percentages that you're going to see here in a second are actually true about our crit rates. Now, taking a look at our Enduring Legacy, we're sitting at a 39% critical hit rate right now. But if we go out of this menu, drop R1 and pick it up, we open back this menu up again, we're sitting at 96% chance firearm critical hit rate, which is just absurd. Now, this is also where I'm going to say you can use the tamer. Now, the tamer is very good, and I know a lot of you have already invested into it. So if you have invested into the tamer, I will probably recommend you just keep that and don't invest into the Enduring Legacy. But the Enduring Legacy does have a bigger mag size and more crit, so there is a little bit of a trade-off between the two, but I still think the Tamer might do a hair more damage. But let's take a look at that one. This one, with just the 2 critical hit rate mods equipped, we're sitting at 19.5%. Now, if I pull out the Tamer, drop the 1, pick it up, we get enhanced rounds. We open this menu back up. We are up to 76% chance firearm critical hit rate, and this is at a much higher critical hit damage multiplier at base, which is really nice. So there are good and bad things about either of these options. I think the Tamer, once again, will do a little bit more damage, but it does have a smaller mag size, so you won't be able to shoot quite as long. But there are your benefits to either or, so you can take your pick which of those 2 LMGs you use with this build. Now, its unique ability can be pretty useful. I haven't upgraded it yet, so it's going to be way more beneficial later on. But essentially, as you lay into enemies, they're going to get a fire resistance debuff, and also when you hit an enemy afflicted with burn, you're going to get a firearm attack increase. So I do recommend trying to get some sort of fire attack on there so you can get the burns going. It's going to be a really good synergy with the Enduring Legacy. Currently, this is my budget setup. This does have an activator on here, but I've only formatted this 2 times so far. It does come with a triangle one by default. This slot was actually one of the Rudel mods. Now, there's actually nothing beneficial in terms of this symbol, so I did have to get rid of it. It's all like defense master and then poison related things or recoil and accuracy. It was really, really bad stuff. So that socket kind of stinks that it's formatted out of the gate, but it's not useful, so we had to get rid of it. So right now I'm just going into some of those, and I'm focusing on getting a little bit of firearm attack and then maxing out my crit damage, because once again, we're going to be at near guaranteed crits. So you're going to want that up as much as possible. It's going to be one of the first things you focus on. From there, you're going to go into critical hit rate with better insight. And then also I was able to fit insight focus for right now until I'm able to fit edging shot a little bit later. And then from there, you're going to want to increase your fire rate and expand that magazine size. You're going to go from 115 to 171 with a maxed out expand weapon charge, which is incredibly helpful with how our mod is actually working. With the full version of this build, I plan on adding the edging shot, also getting our weak point damage up, and then also adding sharp precision shot for more fire rate and firearm attack. Another good option would be mental focus. You can kind of take your pick between these 2 as your gold mod. Taking a look at Enzo himself for this build, this is where I have supply firearm enhancer. I'm 1 away from maxing out. Currently, it's not my biggest focus just because how expensive it is. The, sub attack thing that you use, or if you want to use a grapple, completely up to you which one. I just haven't leveled up a grapple yet because of the costs. So I'm just keeping with my max shock punch. From here, you're going to want to focus on HP, so I've increased HP and HP amplification. I will eventually be maxing this out pretty soon. And then from here, I would do walk a tightrope. It's really nice during some of the boss fights, especially if there's like the floor is lava within them. You can damage yourself and get yourself below that 50% HP for the firearm attack. And then you're going to really want to be focusing on your skill cooldown over here, and also your duration. I don't have that on yet, but that's going to be incredibly helpful for keeping our 4 ability up longer with its increase to your attack and critical hit rate. Those are going to be very helpful as we increase our duration. The cooldown is incredibly important. As you can see, it's dropping my cooldown from 90 seconds down to 33 currently, and we can get that much lower as we move on. But really, the only skills you're going to worry about is perfect support and then also supply firearm enhancer. I never use explosive drone, and I never really touch enhanced combat suit unless I'm doing like a payload mission. Then it's really nice for just keeping that moving without having to worry about stepping out and wasting a bunch of time. So right now, that's been serving me incredibly well. And once again, just go into duration and skill cooldown. Once you get more slots and also a little bit more defense, wouldn't be too bad either. I will for sure be making an update to this build once both my Enzo and my weapons are maxed out and we get this thing fully juiced. For our reactor and external components, the reactor itself doesn't matter all that much. I still use the thunder cage for mobbing. It's kind of like my main thing. I only have the LMG out for bosses or commander type things. The skill power boost, non-attributes, and then if you really want to min-max, do singular just for your ult. It's completely up to you. It's not going to make a difference at all. At the end of the day, we're not going into skill damage, and increasing the power of these doesn't give you like more crit chance or attack on your first ability, and none of that really matters. The main thing you want to be looking for is the passives down at the bottom. You're going to want duration up and skill cooldown. Get those at the highest tier that you possibly can. Now, the external components, I'm running the Annihilation set just for a little bit more. Once again, if you get below the like 50% mark, you get to walk the tightrope, and as our HP goes down, we get more firearm attack. Just a really good option for gun setup, so I'm just running that as the 4-piece bonus. Focus on getting defense and max HP where you can, and you guys will be all set. Currently, I am sitting at about 12,000 health and 18,500 defense. It's doing all right. I can't really complain. Maybe some of the later stuff, it starts to get a little bit more dicey, but once I get more room on my Enzo and I level up the HP and add more defense, we're going to be perfectly fine. And it's a really good budget setup for the moment. Yeah, that's pretty much everything with this budget Enzo setup. This is perfect for any sort of support, also single target damage yourself. I've been loving this as my boss killer. I haven't bothered going to build Glay or anything like that yet, any sort of Lepic scenario, and I'm really excited to see how this fully juiced compares to those fully juiced. I actually think it's going to be a pretty close bet considering what this is actually doing. Hopefully you enjoy this little synergy between Enzo's Transcendent mod and an LMG. It works out incredibly well in my opinion. It is so cool just seeing so many orange numbers. Definitely reminds me of like Warframe crit scenarios where you can get guaranteed crit very easily, and sometimes even like red crit type things. So that's been really cool to see. It's been a lot of fun, and I hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. If you did enjoy the build, make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video to let me know. Also consider subscribing for more First Descendant content. We got a bunch more on the way. If you're interested in the fully juiced version of this build, hopefully I'll have that out later this week. But anyways, thank you all for watching this far in the video. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.